Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about the war that begins the moment your eyes open. You know it well. The heavy weight pressing down on your chest before the day even starts. The silent battles no one sees but you feel with aching clarity. The darkness at dawn. The thoughts that come unbidden. Will today be any different? Will the anxieties win again? Are you in this situation? If you've ever woken up and wished you hadn't, if your first breath of the day already felt like defeat, you are not alone. So before we begin, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if something inside you wants more of God. Comment where you're from and how long it's been since your last real prayer. Ready? Breathe deep. Clear the noise. Christ is near. Let's begin. You feel it now, don't you? The way the shadows cling tighter the moment you try to shake free. This isn't just exhaustion. It's warfare. Invisible, relentless, real. But it's not the end. You were not created for defeat. You were crafted by the eternal light. And no darkness, no matter how thick, can overcome him. Every morning is a moment of decision. Before the first word leaves your lips, the battle has already begun in your mind. It's not just random. It's not just circumstance. It's an assault. The enemy knows how weak a heart is when it's tired. He knows how vulnerable a mind is when it has forgotten the promises of God. So he whispers, "You are still broken. Today will be just like yesterday. You are not enough." But listen carefully. Those are not the words of your Creator. They are the echoes of a liar. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. Before your lungs drew their first breath, Christ had already dreamed of this moment. Yes, this one, where you would turn your heart toward Him again. How long has it been since you trusted your mornings to God? Since you let Him have the first say, not your fears? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, being willing, even broken, even confused. Are you willing? This morning, He is asking for your first glance, your first thought. Before your feet touch the ground, before your to-do list screams for attention, can you surrender this moment? Whisper His name, Jesus, and wait. Let the silence carry His answer. Today is not just another day. It's another chance, another mercy, another beginning. Darkness trembles where Christ is invited, and He is already here. You must choose now. Will the old chains bind you again, or will you stretch out your hand, trembling as it is, toward the one who already has His hand stretched toward you? Don't wait. Speak to Him now, with words or with tears or with nothing but your heart beating toward heaven. The war is real, but so is the victory, and it has a name. You were made for light, not for the confusion that clouds your mind before breakfast, not for the ache that hovers just under your ribs when you can't name what's wrong. You were made for light, pure, healing, unbreakable. This is the unshakable truth. Your existence was not an accident, and your mind is not a mistake. In the eternal designs of God, you were crafted for beauty, clarity, and the peace that only His Spirit can give. And yet, how easily we forget. How quickly we trade the radiant inheritance of God's children for the broken promises of this world. Look at the patterns that play across your mind in the first minutes of your day. Are they leading you toward light or deeper into shadow? Are they invitations to hope or reminders of despair? When was the last time you looked at yourself the way He does, loved, chosen, redeemed? It's time to remember. Darkness may clamor and shout, but light never competes. Light simply is, and it wins because it is of God. What is asked of you is not to fight harder, think better, or pretend stronger. What is asked of you is surrender. The light is already here. Will you open the door? Right now, where you are, stop. Take one full breath. Breathe in the truth. I was made for light. Exhale the lie. I am bound to darkness. This morning is not random. This moment is not meaningless. Heaven watches as you sit there deciding who will rule your thoughts today. Will it be the swirling fears you've always known, or the quiet, steady love you're afraid to hope for? You were not made for fear. You were not made for shame. You were not made to wander through this life half alive, half hopeful. You were made for glory, for light, and the light has a name. He has scars in his hands and a crown on his head, and he is not ashamed to call you his. Ask yourself, when was the last time I allowed his gaze to meet mine without looking away? There is no shame in his eyes, only mercy. And there is no darkness so deep that his light cannot find you. This morning, sit. Let your shoulders fall. Let the defenses crumble. Let the light you were made for finally touch the places you've hidden. No striving, no performance, just presence. His presence. Today is not lost. This moment is not too late. You are not too far gone. You are, even now, being called out of the shadows into his marvelous light. The light is here. Will you open the door?
The battle for your thoughts is not imaginary. It is not an overstatement. It is real and it is fierce, and it rages long before your feet ever touch the floor in the morning. You may not see it with your eyes, but you feel it. How easily one anxious thought leads to another. How quickly peace slips through your fingers. How a single whisper of fear can dominate your whole day. There is an enemy. He knows the power of a single thought. He knows that the mind is the gate to the heart, and the heart is the throne where either fear or Christ will reign. He will use whatever weapons he can, old regrets, future fears, present doubts, to worm his way into your thinking and steal your peace before the day even has a chance to begin. But here's the unshakable truth. The mind that belongs to Christ is not defenseless. You are not a helpless victim to your thoughts. Scripture calls us to take every thought captive for a reason, because the mind is a battlefield, but it is also a place of victory. Reflect on this. What thoughts have you allowed to take up residence in your mind without permission? What lies have you nurtured as truth simply because they are familiar? When did you last stop and demand that your thoughts bow to Christ? Today, make no mistake, you will be fought for. The enemy will not give you your peace freely. He will snarl and hiss and throw everything he can to shake you. But Christ has already won the war. Your job is not to defeat the darkness, but to stand firm in the light. This morning, will you dare to fight for your mind? Will you dare to believe that peace is not just a distant hope, but a present promise? There is a way to wage this battle. It starts by naming the lies. It continues by refusing to agree with them. And it ends by planting your flag on the truth. I belong to Christ. My mind is not the playground of fear. My heart is not the dwelling place of despair. I am His. Let that truth settle deep today. Let it be your first defense when the whispers come. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not the sum of your failures. You are His, and His is the victory. This morning, before the world demands your attention, take your stand. Kneel. Raise your empty hands. Speak out loud if you have to. In Jesus' name, I claim my mind for the King. The battle is real, but so is your armor. So is your King. Stand. The power of a new mind is not reserved for the saints whose names are etched in marble or the mystics who lived in desert caves. It is promised to you today, here, in the ordinariness of your life. Christ did not die to leave you enslaved to yesterday's chains. He came to make all things new, including your mind. This is the unshakable truth. You are not condemned to live by the thoughts that have tormented you. The renewal of your mind is not a vague spiritual idea. It is a living, breathing reality for those who will reach out and take hold of it. You are not stuck. You are not doomed. In Christ, you are free. But let's be honest. How many times have you heard that and doubted it? How many mornings have you tried to believe but felt the same old fears creeping back in? This isn't because God's promise has failed. It's because renewal is not a single event, but a daily surrender. A daily death to the old, a daily resurrection into the new. When was the last time you asked God not just to change your circumstances, but to change your mind? When was the last time you pleaded not for an easier road, but for a stronger heart, a mind anchored in Him? You have that chance now. In this moment, you can ask. You can cry out, "Lord, make my mind new." Root out the lies, uproot the bitterness, silence the noise that is not your voice. And He will answer. Perhaps not in a flash of lightning or a sweeping emotional wave. Perhaps not in the way you expect. But in the quiet persistence of grace, He will rewire the broken circuits of your thinking. He will transform you, thought by thought, moment by moment. Are you willing to let Him? Today, place your mind on the altar. Offer it up, the whole messy, tangled thing. Offer Him your overthinking, your dread, your insecurities. Lay them bare. Christ is not repulsed by the chaos. He is moved by it. He is drawn to it. He is ready to remake it. There is nothing more radical you can do this morning than to offer Him your mind. Not your plans, not your best intentions, but your mind, raw, restless, and real. This is your call to interior movement. Surrender your mind to Christ. Before you scroll, before you speak, before you strive, surrender. The old has gone. The new is here. Walk in it. You are not your fears. Let that truth sit heavy and undeniable in your chest. You are not the trembling hands. You are not the racing heart. You are not the voice that says, "You'll never be enough." These are shadows, not your identity. Lies, not your inheritance. The unshakable truth is this: God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Fear is not your master. Anxiety is not your name. You are a child of the living God, and He has written freedom into your very being. Yet how often do you let fear be the loudest voice in your day? How often do you agree with it before you've even brushed your teeth? Fear is a thief, a liar, and a cruel master. And every time you bow to it, it demands more. When was the last time you fought fear, not by ignoring it, but by exposing it? When did you last call it what it is? A parasite feeding on your trust, a shadow cast by the absence of remembered light. Today, fight differently. Fear thrives in silence and secrecy. Drag it into the light. Name it. Speak against it. Declare with trembling faith, "I am not my fear. I am not the sum of my terrors. I am not the what-ifs that plague my mind. I am His." Do not wait until you feel brave. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. This morning, in the stillness, make a choice. Refuse to be defined by what frightens you. Refuse to build your day on sand. You are more than your worst thoughts, more than your deepest dread. The enemy will hiss otherwise. The world will shout otherwise. Even your own mind will whisper otherwise. But the voice that matters, the voice of the shepherd, calls you by a different name. Beloved, redeemed, free. Will you listen? Take this moment. Breathe. Press your hand to your heart if you must. Let yourself feel it beating. Steady, relentless, alive. Proof that God has not finished with you yet. Proof that fear does not have the final word. The challenge for you today is simple and severe.
Refuse to let fear narrate your day. Start here, now, on your knees, or in your chair, or in the stillness of your heart. Start by saying aloud, I am not my fear. I am a child of God. Let this truth hammer against the gates of despair until they crumble. Let it sink so deep that when fear comes knocking again, it finds no welcome. The battle is real, but the truth is stronger. You are not your fears. The gift of surrender is not weakness. It is the beginning of everything strong and beautiful. In a world that teaches you to clutch, to scramble, to hustle for every scrap of worth, surrender feels foreign, almost offensive. Yet here is the unshakable truth. What you refuse to surrender will be the very thing that enslaves you. You cannot carry the weight of your own mind. You were never meant to. The restless striving, the gnawing need for control, it corrodes the soul from within. And you feel it, don't you? The tightening of your chest, the exhaustion before the day even begins. This is not life. This is not freedom. When was the last time you let yourself collapse, not in defeat, but in trust? When did you last admit that you are not enough, and that's precisely the point? The human soul was designed not for self-sufficiency, but for dependency on God and God alone. This morning, what would it look like if you laid it all down? Not just the big burdens, the debts, the diagnoses, the deadlines, but the small, splintering worries that chip away at peace. What if you surrendered your right to have it all figured out? What if you let go of the lie that you must carry what only Christ can bear? Lay it down. Breathe deep and picture yourself holding the tangled mess of your fears, your regrets, your striving. Now lift it, trembling and reluctant, and place it into hands that have never dropped anything entrusted to them. His hands, scarred, steady, sovereign. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is a transfer of weight, a shift from self to Savior. And when you release the crushing load you were never built to bear, you make space. Space for joy, space for peace, space for Him. Today, move, not with frantic energy, but with holy release. Let your clenched fists open. Let your shoulders fall. Let your heart sigh the deep sigh of the surrendered. Christ is not interested in polished offerings. He desires the broken and the bruised, the weary and the worn. He desires you. This morning, can you offer Him your surrender as your first prayer? Can you say, Lord, I can't do this, but you can. I give it to you, all of it. And then, hard as it is, leave it there. Surrender is the door to peace. The key is in your hand. Will you open it? The armor of prayer is not ornamental. It is not an accessory to the Christian life. It is survival. It is strength. Without it, you are naked in a battlefield you cannot see, and every arrow finds its mark. With it, you are clothed in power not your own, defended by a presence that never sleeps. This is the unshakable truth. You are in a war, whether you acknowledge it or not. But you are not left defenseless. You have been given armor, and prayer is its foundation. Without prayer, you are exposed. With prayer, you are invincible, not because of your strength, but because of His. Reflect on this. How do you step into your day? Shieldless? Speechless? Relying on yesterday's crumbs of grace? When was the last time you clothed yourself deliberately in prayer before the world had a chance to claw at you? Prayer is not a ritual. It is armor. It is how you lay claim to what Christ has already won. It is how you push back the fog of fear and the noise of lies. It is how you remember who you are and whose you are. This morning, will you leave yourself unguarded? Will you rush into battle as though the enemy has taken the day off? He hasn't, but neither has your God. The invitation stands. Come to me, early, empty, willing. Clothe yourself in me. Take a moment. Let it be silent. Let the clamor of tasks and worries fade. Lift your heart. No polished words needed, no perfection demanded. Just your presence, naked and needy before the throne. Pray as if your life depends on it, because it does. Pray for protection, for peace, for clarity, for strength. Pray not just for what you want, but for what He knows you need. The morning prayer is not about checking a box. It is about fastening on the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, the shield of faith. It is about refusing to step into the day undressed for war. This is your call to interior movement. Pray before you move. No matter how small your prayer feels, no matter how distracted you are, no matter how tempted you are to believe that it won't matter, it matters more than you know. The day will demand much. The world will clamor loud. But if you are clothed in prayer, you will not fall easily. You will not be shaken as you were before. You will stand, shielded by a strength not your own. So pray, now, before anything else. Clothe yourself in the armor of God. This is the quiet invitation of every sunrise, the silent whisper that slips through the cracks of your disappointment. You can start over. Not because you are strong enough to erase the past, but because grace is stronger than all your yesterdays combined. The unshakable truth is this: God's mercy is new every morning, not recycled, not diluted, but new. A fresh outpouring, untouched by yesterday's failures, undiminished by yesterday's doubts. Each dawn is a declaration from heaven: you are not disqualified. When was the last time you really believed that? That today could be different? That this morning could be the start of something holy and real and breathtakingly new? Too often, we drag the dead weight of the past behind us, shackled to regrets we've already confessed, bound by guilt for sins already forgiven. But grace does not operate on the currency of memory. It is not hindered by what was. It only concerns itself with what is and what can be. Today is not yesterday, and you are not who you were even a breath ago. Grace is flowing now, quiet and steady, inviting you to step forward without the baggage that has bent your spine for too long. But grace is not automatic. It is a gift, and gifts must be received. Will you extend your hand? Will you let go of the past long enough to grasp what is being offered to you? This morning, do something radical. Forgive yourself. Speak aloud if you have to. I am forgiven. I am free. Today is a new beginning. The world may remember your failures. Your own mind may replay them on an endless loop. But the God who fashioned you has declared a different verdict: clean, new, loved. Do not insult His mercy by chaining yourself to what He has already shattered. This is your call to interior movement. Begin again. Not halfway, not with one foot in the past and one in the present. Begin again, fully, fiercely, freely. Let grace rewrite the story you have been afraid to live. Let it wash over the cracked and jagged places. Let it do what only grace can do: make you new. Today, you are invited to begin again. Will you? Your mind can be sanctified, not merely improved, not simply managed. Sanctified, made holy, set apart, purified for the glory of God. This is the breathtaking promise offered to those who are willing to surrender not only their actions, but also their thoughts to Christ. The unshakable truth is this: no part of you is beyond His reach. No corner of your mind is too dark, too hardened, too broken for His mercy. Sanctification is not a dream reserved for the spiritually elite. It is the inheritance of every soul who dares to believe that God's power is greater than human weakness. When was the last time you believed your mind could be made holy? That your thought life could be a place of worship, not warfare? That even your silent, unseen battles could be transformed into songs of praise. Holiness is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of grace in the middle of it. It is choosing, again and again, to invite Christ into the places that feel irredeemable, to hand over not just your actions, but the very root, the thoughts that drive them. This morning, look honestly at your mind. What patterns have you accepted as unchangeable? What lies have you allowed to grow roots? What fears have you fed, thinking they were too deeply entrenched to ever be uprooted? Christ stands ready, not with condemnation, but with invitation. Let me in, he whispers. Let me make it holy. Not by your striving, but by his Spirit. Not by your perfection, but by his power. Will you trust him with even this? This is your call to interior movement. Consecrate your mind to Christ. Say it, pray it. Lord, take my thoughts. Cleanse them, renew them, make them holy. And then watch, over time, how the impossible becomes possible, how the battleground becomes holy ground. You are not destined to live enslaved to your thoughts. You are called to be free, even there, especially there. Sanctification is not reserved for your Sunday best. It is meant for the mess, for the mind you wake up with, for the doubts you wrestle with at midnight. So today, start small. One thought at a time, one surrender at a time, one whisper of his name in the middle of the storm. Your mind is not too far gone. It can be made holy. It can be new. It can be sanctified. Will you let him?
Go forward in the light, not in fear, not in hesitation, not in the half-light of old doubts and half-kept promises, but in the full, blinding radiance of Christ's victory, the light that drives out all darkness, the light that cannot be overcome. The unshakable truth is this: you were made to walk in the light as he is in the light, not to stumble blindly through the day, but to move with a sure-footed boldness, rooted in grace, clothed in peace. You are not a child of the shadows. You are not a refugee in a war-torn land. You are a citizen of heaven, and the light of Christ is your inheritance. When was the last time you truly walked in that light? Not timidly, not with caveats, but with the reckless confidence of one who knows the battle is already won. The light is not a suggestion, it is a summons. It calls you to leave behind the old fears, the old lies, the old chains that no longer have any claim on you. It calls you to step forward, not because you are brave, but because he is faithful. This morning, before you step into the noise and demands of the day, make a decision. Plant your feet on the firm ground of truth. I am not what the darkness says I am. I am what Christ declares me to be: redeemed, beloved, free. This is not the time to hide, not the time to shrink back into old habits. This is the time to move forward, even if your steps are small and shaking. Christ does not ask for your perfection. He asks for your yes. He asks for your willingness to walk forward into the light, trusting that he will illuminate the path one step at a time. This is your call to interior movement. Walk boldly in the light. Say it aloud if you must. Today, I walk in the light. I refuse to crawl back into the shadows. The world is desperate for light bearers, for those who do not merely speak of hope, but carry it within them, for those who walk into rooms and bring the aroma of heaven with them. You are called to be one of them. So go forward, not backward, not sideways, forward, in the full, unstoppable, glorious light of Christ. Leave the fear, leave the chains, leave the lies. Walk in the light. You have journeyed far this morning, from the shadows where fear and doubt once ruled, to the threshold of a new day drenched in the light of Christ. Remember this: you are not your fear. You are not the weight of your past. You are not the lies that have whispered death to your heart.
You are His, redeemed, called, sent. The transformation you long for is not impossible. It begins here, now, in the quiet decision to surrender, to trust, to kneel. God's mercy is new not only today, but every day you dare to believe it. And His promises are not fragile, they are unbreakable. You are not alone anymore. You are clothed in armor unseen, guarded by love unshaken, led by a shepherd who never loses a single one of his own. The world needs you, but only after you've been with Him. Stay close, stay small, stay surrendered. And when you rise, rise not in your own strength, but in His. Move into the day not as one grasping for peace, but as one who carries it. Now go, and do not come back to the old life. You have been called out of darkness into His marvelous light. You are not alone anymore. God bless you.